All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the White Noise Podcast. Before we get started, I just want to say hello to all of the new subscribers. We had a little bit of traffic from Jody's Corner, so it's happy to be joined by more people, and thank you for being here, guys. So, obviously, the first and most humongous thing that we need to talk about this week was the Mandalorian episode or chapter 16, episode 8, season 2 finale.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Oh my gosh. I even if you're not happy about this, you have to give them credit because I never saw that twist coming ever. Like, I knew Luke might show up from the beacon, but I did not think he was going to show up this season. So, props to Filoni and Favreau for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly, I didn't see that coming as well. And when Ahsoka said, I can't train him because she had bad experience with Anakin, I was like, all right, who are they going to bring in? But Luke didn't come to my mind in the forefront, honestly, until
I thought
X-Wing
maybe
showed up.
Luke, like we talked about it a little bit on the podcast, the when we talked about that episode, but I didn't think it was going to be this soon. I was like, oh, that'll be like, mid to late season 3, maybe. They still have stuff. Like, I never would have imagined that he was going to show up at the end of this season. Dude, I didn't even when the X-Wing showed up, I didn't think it was him. Like, I thought they were going to do a reveal where, like, the one X-Wing showed up and they're going to be like, oh, is that all there is? And then, like, more X-Wings are going to come, or something. There's going to be, like, something like that. Like, I didn't think it was him until he got out of the ship, and then I was like, no way. And even then, I kept watching because I just wasn't convinced. I was like, there's no freaking way this is Luke. Like, no way. And then there was a green lightsaber, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then he had the glove, and I was just like, oh my gosh. But what did you think about the episode overall?
Overall, I loved it. I felt like this was really one of the best episodes they put out there as far as just storytelling, pacing. It felt very cinematic, and we've said that with a couple episodes in the show, but I feel like this is the one
Dude,
where
this
they
one
really
by
put it all
far.
in there.
By far was the most cinematic. Dude, the coolest shot of the whole episode was when freaking Slave One pulled up in front of that ship. Dude, that was so badass. It like popped its head up like it was like a monster or something. Oh, that was so cool. Yeah, dude, you're right. It was a solid episode. I was exhausted when I first watched it because I tried to watch it at midnight and do like a live watch party, which kind of failed. But it was a good episode. I was a little bit freaked out by the Luke thing. I think it's just because it's not Hamill, and I know that's like it looked decent, and so I think it was a little bit less emotional for me just because there was a part of my brain that was like, yeah, but that's not Luke,
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of, through Collider and their videos, I've been kind of jaded by deepfakes, so I was more used to it. But if I had never heard of it, or had never seen it, or didn't know what a deepfake was, I've been like, what the hell is that? I'm so thrown off.
I mean, I've seen deepfakes. It's just like, even with that, you're like, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Luke. Like, I almost feel like if it was a real person, I know this is stupid, but like, there's a part of me, it's like, maybe if it was Sebastian Stan or something, I would have just been a little more convinced. I'm not sure. There was just a little bit of separation from kind of the emotion of the moment for me.
Yeah, but, I mean, also, Hamill's over 50, so, I mean, you can't go backwards. And I get that with Carrie Fisher. We did that for one moment in Rogue One, and it worked. But here, I feel like it didn't as much, but it didn't need to.
I don't know why they didn't try the de-aging technology, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
they use that
guess
for
it could've
Marvel
worked.
a lot, and it works real well. Like the Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to do it. Because the deep fake's just a little bit disconcerting. But I mean, look, I'm complaining about details. Overall, you're totally right. It was a sick episode. It was epic. It was the biggest budget, kind of most epic episode I've ever seen on The Mandalorian. Like the TIE fighters flying out and the whole battle, like that was so well done. The fight between Mando and Moff Gideon was badass. Do you get some of the stuff with the Darksaber? That's something I didn't really get.
Not really, to be honest with you. I'm not as familiar with the canon. But
because that didn't completely make sense to me. Like I'm a little bit familiar with the canon, but from my understanding, Sabine Wren gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber in Rebels.
Yeah.
Like, just gives it to her. And so I don't see why the Mandalorian couldn't do the same thing, and or even like he doesn't kill Moff Gideon, right? So like, couldn't he just have like Bo-Katan like punch him and then him be like, "Sorry, I yield," and give her the sword?
Yeah, pretty much. The way it seemed was kind of
Like they built it up as like this big tension thing, but I was like, why can't she just like slap him and then he gives it to her? Then if we need to be like technical, like
yeah.
I just kind of misunderstood. If anybody knows more about that, I would be interested. Just because I was like, oh, okay. I mean, this doesn't seem too hard, Bo-Katan. Calm down here.
No, it seemed kind of complicated, but it also seemed like it could have been solved fairly quickly.
It was a little bit contrived, I think, like a little bit contrived tension, and I was like, I wish they had killed Moff Gideon, to be honest.
Yeah,
because I don't know where they're gonna go from here.
Exactly.
He says like, "Oh, I got what I needed from the child." Do we know that's true or not? Like, he clearly was lying about sparing the child and the Mandalorian. So, I don't even know if that's true. Maybe he has a limited amount of blood. They clearly ran into that problem earlier in the season. So maybe he's not done with Grogu. Is he gonna return as the villain for season 3? Like, I just can't imagine Moff Gideon standing anything close to Luke Skywalker. Like, dude, now that Luke Skywalker's in it, it's like, dude, you can't do anything, man. It's Luke freaking Skywalker. Like, you saw how he wrecked all of those Dark Troopers, and then you can compare that to how Mando barely killed one. It's like, dude, Luke Skywalker would kick the entire Empire's butt. He did. That's what he did in Return of the Jedi. It's like, he could do that again with a smaller Empire. Well, yeah, so I don't know. That's the biggest thing for me is I'm very interested to see where this goes, and I actually have no idea. Like, are they gonna split the storylines? Is it gonna follow Mandalore? I actually would enjoy that. Is if they kind of discovered some of the lore of Mandalore, and they followed like Bo-Katan and Din and kind of those people, and like the taking back of Mandalore, and then maybe had like Baby Yoda in the background or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I much prefer. I agree with you. I much prefer that as far as the continuation of a series. Because we've had the arc, we've had Grogu and everything, and it's great because now he's back with Luke or with Luke, and now they can go do their thing, and he can get trained properly, and then.
But I mean, what does that even mean? Like,
finally have their.
Like, what does that mean for the sequel trilogy? There's so many questions, dude. Have you heard the theory that this is gonna be the sequel trilogy is gonna be an alternate universe?
No, I haven't.
I actually think that's a really interesting theory, and I think that theory would solve a lot of problems. Like, it would solve some of the continuity. I don't know. It would be interesting.
Yeah.
Like, there's a part of me that's like, that's dumb, but there's a part of me that would be really excited because Dave Filoni focuses a lot more on. He has used a lot of the Legends material. Mm-hmm. And I really like the Legends material. Like, some of the stuff with Luke Skywalker and even his wife being like the assassin for Vader. Like, there's some really interesting storylines that I liked about Legends that I would love to see brought back into canon. And they could kind of do that with an alternate universe.
Oh, for sure. It's something that we could take it into a different direction. Much needed, in my opinion, as far as the possibilities we have now as far as going forward in this post Grogu era. Really, I'm super excited because I want Mandalore. I want to see all that. I want to go there and
I think that could be really cool.
Complications with the throne, and we can even get to like Black Panther, for example, explored a lot of that with the politics and the era of Wakanda and how that worked to the ruling, the hierarchy. That whole thing I found super interesting. You kind of have that here with the Darksaber, or a chance to do something in that vein here. And
that was probably my favorite part about Moff Gideon. This is his best moment, I think, ever, was when they were in the cabin on the control deck, and he was talking about how, like, he was making fun of the Mandalorians and their practices, and he was like, oh, you guys are savages. And I was like, it was just such a good job of like explaining the rationale of somebody coming from the Empire, and that was such a way to look at it. But it was super cool. You kind of saw it from his point of view for a while, and I kind of agreed with him too. I was like, this is dumb. Why are we, like, who cares about the Darksaber? Why are we fighting over it? It was a really cool moment. It was well done.
Yeah, and I think that throughout the season they had little bits and pieces here of the the Empire and really the whole divide in it. Because of course in the original trilogy, a lot of us like, oh, they're just the Empire, they're one thing, they're one person. But really here through this season, they really kind of depicted that as far as different hierarchies and people who didn't always agree with what they were doing or didn't like how they operated. And I think that's super
And they
cool
did a
on
really
both
good job
sides.
of explaining like something that big wouldn't just go away. And even in season 1, you were kind of like, what? The Empire's back? But I think this season they did a really good job of kind of covering that and giving you an idea of like these little pockets of Empire that still existed. And it's like that makes sense. You know, in a gigantic galaxy, like when you win, something like the Empire just doesn't go away. But also, I'm sorry, my favorite moment ever. Can we talk? Boba Fett is getting his own series. That's amazing. Even if it's gonna be a mini series, that freaking after credit scene was the coolest thing ever. Okay, I want to see the Book of Boba Fett. I am so like, and this is I am such a Boba Fett fan. I was more excited for this than even Luke Skywalker, and I know that's blasphemy among Star Wars fans, but freaking Boba Fett, he's been so cool this season. These last 2 episodes, we honestly didn't see enough of him. Every part that I saw of him was amazing. He's just so cool. I'm so
Absolutely.
excited, dude. I think that's the perfect way to do it, is like a little mini series. You know, I think it would be too much to do a full show. You know, some people were saying it was going to be season 3 of The Mandalorian, which is not true. It's going to be its own mini series. You know, I think that's the thing I'm most excited for on Disney Plus, hands down. Like, that's just going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Oh, for sure. I think finally he gets his time to shine, but I feel like in the right way as far as his new series, because we've established it. He's made his way in, sort of like ScarJo in the MCU as far as getting established, making her peace, and then now having her own movie. I think that's the way to do it. Ahsoka, same thing. As far as weaving them into the lore and then letting them do their own thing. But here, I think the whole arc with the suit and everything was placed and timed perfectly, and then now he really gets his own opportunity to do what he wants, and I think that'll be amazing as far as
I'm just psyched. I'm
Downey
psyched.
Harrison.
I'm so happy. I could not be happier with how Disney handled Boba Fett. I was worried going into this. I didn't think they would do a good job. They handled him so perfectly. He's such a badass. You know, the only thing I think I disagree with was I think he would have kicked that Mandalorian lady's butt in the bar. Beyond that, he's just been so cool and so savage and so vicious and just everything that anyone who ever watched Boba Fett as a kid and loved him could have asked for. So that was just the coolest thing ever.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens with season 3, man. You got to give the show props for ending season 2 where I have no idea where the show is going to go. Like, I actually have no idea what they're going to do next, which is awesome. I'm kind of on my toes, and I'm excited to see what they do next.
yeah, the possibilities are out there, and we've finished one arc, and now we can go.
I mean, the possibilities are honestly
want.
endless. Like, because they've
Yeah.
had Luke Skywalker in it, it shows that, like, they literally are willing to do anything. And so it's like the possibilities are actually endless. Like, this is not a Star Wars spin-off show anymore. This is not like a little sideshow following a little bounty hunter. It's like, this is part of the main Star Wars universe, and really anything and everything could happen in this series.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that they have a lot up their sleeve. I think they have a lot planned that we don't know about yet, but that's exciting. I love it. I'm excited to see where they end up taking season 3.
Yeah, me too. All right. So for this week's episode, Merry Christmas, by the way, a belated Merry Christmas. I should have said that at the beginning, but Merry Christmas. We plan a little something where we're going to go through our top 5 Christmas movies of all time and compare and contrast. Now, before everybody gets pissed off about this segment, there are so many freaking Christmas movies, and I could only get to so many. I was super busy freaking out about The Mandalorian and all this other kind of stuff this week. There are literally hundreds of classic Christmas movies that I missed, and I know my list is going to piss some people off. So there's room for that next year. I only could see so many. Some of these are childhood nostalgia. But I say we start off at number 5.
All right.
And we go down the line. So,
All right.
Coming up at number 5 for you, Kelvin.
Number 5. I'm gonna go with the underdog here because I love it and I watch it every year. Charlie Brown Christmas. I love the special.
Okay.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's such a cool just
I mean,
story.
it's
I
a
love
part of Christmas now.
It is. It's canon pretty much. But I love Charlie Brown because I feel like at least the character specials were so great because they had as a kid, it's fun and you have pretty colors and everything, but they have a really nice undertone subliminality about them. Just deep seated and whether it's Lucy or everyone, they just have a way of kind of going about things from an adult perspective because Charlie Brown is such a melancholy.
Yeah, I've never seen Charlie Brown.
Really?
I've never seen Charlie Brown. I know it's crazy, and everybody freaks out when I say that. I've seen the Thanksgiving one, but I never grew up with it, so I never got a chance to see it. But it makes sense. Like I said, it's part of Christmas culture now. It has gone above and beyond just being a piece of art.
Yeah, no, for sure. It has a lot of nice little mature themes in this kid's special, and of course the tree with the 3 branches, which is fantastic. I remember.
And Snoopy, everything. Yeah. So my number 5 Christmas movie is Christmas in Connecticut. I don't know if you know that.
Nice. Which I don't know that I've heard of that one. Which one is
Christmas in Connecticut. It's like an old black and white. See, I'm a sucker for black and white movies, especially when it comes to Christmas movies. So it's an old black and white movie, like one of those like old war movies. This is the whole thing. It's like an old black and white rom-com, and it's ridiculous and over the top. But the writing in it is actually, it surprisingly stands the test of time. It's kind of funny and savage at some points. And it's just like, dude, it's just a cute Christmas movie. It's like one of those things. It's an old black and white movie. I remember watching it as a kid. It's like, dude, you can't resist movies like that. They're just so good and they're so sweet, and it's such a like classic Christmas thing. Yeah, it's a funny, entertaining movie, and like I said, it actually does a decent job of kind of standing the test of time with writing and things like that, which a lot of times older movies don't. And it does a decent job of it. So yeah, it's my number 5.
Nice. That sounds awesome. Yeah, holiday rom-coms definitely, especially nowadays, are worth for wear, but back then I would imagine they were not as many, and so I'm actually interested to see that one because I wonder what tropes they would have put in.
I think it's up there with like Miracle on 34th Street and some of those just classic Christmas movies, and it's just sweet. It's not complicated, it's not crazy, it's just sweet to the point. It's a cute Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But going on to number 4, what do you have up there?
My number 4. It's not higher on the list, but I do love it. A Christmas Story. I love that movie. I've seen it. First time I ever saw it was when I was 8 years old, and I never forgot it. I love Ralphie, the whole story of his gun. All he wanted, forget all gun violence crap, all that stuff. All he wanted was a gun. That's all he wanted was a toy. Like, shoot your eye out. I
think it's such a relatable thing as a kid.
Yeah, it's
like, I don't know about you, when I was a kid, I just had one Spider-Man toy. It's the only toy I ever had, and I would imagine it was everything else, but it was like, dude, all I need is this one toy, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole culture it's made, the lamp, the Chinese restaurant, and everything is just so classic, and I love it. It's such a fun, just nostalgic Christmas movie that I watch every year.
Dude, I think my list is going to be so much more controversial than yours.
Probably.
Number 4, The Underdog, the one that nobody expected. This blew my mind away. Fat Man.
Okay.
I loved it.
Right.
I loved it. Dude, I know this is ridiculous. If you guys haven't seen it, it was this like rated R Christmas movie where Mel Gibson was playing Santa. It just came out this year. It looked like this dark comedy. It looked like John Wick meets Santa Claus. It's not that. It is, but it isn't. Like I watched it and it took me by surprise because it was actually better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be just like, okay, this is going to be like an over the top, like ridiculous swear word, blood filled, like dark comedy. But it was actually really heartfelt and like dramatic, and it did a really good job. The lady who played Mrs. Claus was amazing. Like, she was actually really good. Mel Gibson was really good. The guy who played the villain, I'm blanking on his name. He was super good. Dude, like, it took me by surprise, and I know, a lot of people might disagree that it should be in the top 5 Christmas movies, but it's fresh in my head. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, and it actually turned out to be really good. And I'm a sucker for dark comedies. I like dark comedies, and I really like Mel Gibson. I think he's an underrated actor.
Yeah, that one I still have to check out, but I'm super excited to
Oh,
see it.
dude,
I've heard
if
nothing but
people
good
watching
things.
haven't seen that, dude,
I
you
heard
gotta
nothing
watch
but
that
good
movie.
things.
That movie is hilarious, and it's getting trashed critically, which is BS, man. It does not deserve the hate that it's getting. So go watch that movie, guys. It's such a
Definitely.
good movie. It was so enjoyable. All right, coming up on number 3.
My number 3 is one that is debated for both Halloween and Christmas, but I'll always stand it as a Christmas movie, and I love it till the day I die. Nightmare Before Christmas. I love that movie.
Oh,
I
that's
think
a
that it's
Christmas movie for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
I think so.
fantastic fish out of water story. Henry Selick directed it. Most people think it's Tim Burton's, but his
It's
name is
not.
on it. But really, it's a Henry Selick product, and I love it. It's amazing. Everything about it. Stop motion animation at its heyday. Just an amazing ride. Weird, fantastical, everything you want it to be.
I always
Everyone's
liked the
seen it at this
aesthetic of
point.
that movie. It
Oh,
always
for
like
sure.
I liked when people did decorations for Nightmare Before Elm Street and stuff like that. Like I always thought that was super cool, and I always enjoyed the aesthetic of Nightmare Before Christmas. Sorry.
Yeah, you-
Um, I wasn't actually a huge fan of the film, but I like there's parts of it that I really like, and I do really like the stop motion animation. And there's something about like if I had decorations of that, I would put it up in my yard. It's hard to explain.
Oh yeah, for sure. And can't this year because coronavirus, but the Haunted Mansion gets done every year for this film, and I love riding through it every year. It's great.
Now, does the Haunted Mansion get done for Christmas or Halloween like this?
They actually, I believe they do it like before Halloween, but it's actually done through
Ah,
Christmas. So it's a whole
because I was gonna
2 month
say
long
that would
thing,
be the
but it's
deciding
for
factor.
Christmas.
I have no idea what it is. Christmas or Halloween? Tell us what you
Yeah.
guys think. Is it a Christmas or a Halloween movie? I have no idea. But I do know my number 3 is a Christmas movie. No matter what you freaking say, Die Hard, number 3
Yeah.
Christmas movie of all time. I don't care what you say, dude. It's a Christmas movie. All right, it ends with Christmas music. It's epic. I know they've come out and said publicly that it's not a Christmas movie. Fuck off. It's a Christmas movie. It's so well done. It's a classic. Like I don't need to tell you guys about Die Hard. You know about Die Hard. Bruce Willis. He has hair. Alan Rickman, the greatest villain of all time in anything that he's in. And then Christmas movie. Running barefoot. It's just badass. Okay, it's an OG action movie. It's amazing. It's a classic. It doesn't get any better than Die Hard. Really, it's such a great Christmas movie.
Oh, for sure. Everything about it. It came together perfectly. Just the execution,
Yeah.
pacing, everything from. Oh, Nakatomi Plaza. It's great.
All right, coming in at number 2, Christmas movies of all time. What's your pick?
It's probably. I don't know if this would even be in people's top 5, but I love it and stand by it, and every year I get to watch it. It's a film that came out recently that you saw the other night. Jonathan Levine's The Night Before. I love this movie. God, everything about it. It's just so fun and fresh to me. And I remember seeing it for the first time, and I thought, because I like Neighbors and Sausage Party and all the Jonathan Levine, Seth Rogen
Yeah, it's got
movies.
it's got
50-50.
Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, I love this movie. It was so original and fun, and has a really nice heart to it. Just 3 guys going around New York City at night, just the best. It's so funny, and really nice heart to it at its core. Doesn't take itself too seriously, but it doesn't need to, and it's so funny.
Yeah, I mean it's very Seth Rogen. Like it reminds me of one of those movies. I don't know if it just wasn't my thing. I tried watching it
get that.
because you've told me about this movie, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
I have to watch this movie to see if it's in my top 5 Christmas movies because this is like your favorite Christmas movie ever, or apparently second favorite Christmas movie ever. It is. It's endearing. It's very Seth Rogen, and there are some absolutely hysterical moments, like spoilers, but the moment where he's like in the church.
Uh huh.
Seth Rogen is in the church. It's so wrong and so funny in so many ways. Oh my gosh, it's definitely a movie worth watching for sure. It's not a family movie, so don't watch it with
Not
the
at all.
children. But
Yeah.
nor is my number 2,
What is your number 2?
Love Actually.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that movie is the greatest modern day romantic Christmas movie or Christmas rom-com ever made. And the reason it's not you'll find out why it's not number one, but that is the greatest Christmas rom-com ever made. It's so adorable, okay? You know, the not Kristen Stewart. What am I thinking Kristen Stewart?
Keira Knightley?
Yeah, the Keira Knightley storyline's a little weird, and she's kind of
that one
because she
pisses
totally cheats on her husband, which is
pisses
such
the shit
bullshit.
out of me.
Yeah, that one's not
God,
cute. I never really got that one.
I freaking hate her character.
I know, she's a terrible human being. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I don't know why that's like lifted up, and whatever. I know they were trying to be like cool and nuanced, but that is the worst story ever. But besides that storyline, like ignoring that, everything else is hilarious, dude. The cast is incredible. Like, those are some of the best British actors on the planet, and they're great. They're all amazing. Hugh Grant is he's so sweet, dude. It's just one of those like feel good Christmas movies, and it's done so well. And dude, it's a great Christmas movie. You should go watch it. Once again, don't watch it with the family. It's a little adult at some parts. Yeah. But dude, it's just such a good Christmas movie. It's so classic. It's feel good. It's nice that it's kind of like a feel good holiday movie. You know, sometimes I feel like you just need that. It's a romance, but it's also more like you have the Liam Neeson storyline with his kid, which is just so cute, dude. Like that is just so cute, man. And like, I know it's weird to say that, but it is. It's the only way to describe it, and it's great. That even though it's more modern, I feel like that's just such a feel good classic Christmas movie.
Oh, for sure. And the way that it's one of those, like Crazy Stupid Love, it's one of those movies that takes 4 to 5 different stories and weaves them in together. And I feel like we don't get enough movies like that nowadays. Yeah, the MCU, but I mean in one contained movie. And I miss movies like that, to where you have all these things kind of coming together at the end. I love it.
And even unlike Crazy Stupid Love, I like it a little better because, like, Crazy Stupid Love, it like all comes to a giant head in the movie where it's like, oh, it's this big dramatic moment. Whereas this, I like how they kind of just show you how some of these stories connect along the way and don't really say anything about it. They're like, oh, this person's sister and this person's secretary and this person's best friend, and it's like kind of cool to see how some of it ties together. But in the end, you know, it's not about all these people coming together or anything. It's just like kind of love at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Which is it's awesome. All right. Your number one Christmas movie of all time, which is gonna piss off all the audience members.
Oh, it's gonna piss everybody off about that. As you know, I'm a diehard Jon Favreau fan, and I said that, so you already know what movie I'm talking about. I
the movie that people don't know.
Awesome, and I think that. Yeah, I know. Before
he was the Iron Man director and the Mandalorian producer.
Yep, he made a little movie called Elf, and I love that movie so much. I think it's such a fantastic movie. I don't care what anyone says. It's my favorite Christmas movie. I love Will Ferrell. I think that was a role, one of my favorites he's ever done. It's just so sweet and endearing the way that
he is, because sometimes he gets really annoying, but like he's at his best in that movie, I think.
Oh, for sure. He absolutely just playing an innocent fish out of water in New York City, and it's done in such a clever, nice way that I feel like this movie is awesome because it doesn't try and bastardize any sort of like commercial intent on Christmas. It's not putting anyone down. It's just literally a story about a kid trying to find his father, and it's just so sweet and endearing. Ed Asner, people don't know, Ed Asner played Santa Claus, who was also in Pixar's Up, played Carl Fredricksen.
Oh wow!
So as a fun fact,
do you know who the dad of Elf is?
James Caan, who was in Misery with Kathy.
And he's Sonny in The Godfather.
Yeah. But yeah, so
everything. I don't think anybody's gonna disagree with you, dude. It's a Christmas classic. I just have a black soul, and so God forbid I like a happy movie for my number one Christmas movie of all time. I mean,
what is your number one?
It's A Wonderful Life, dude.
Oh,
nice. You've seen that movie, right?
Actually, I haven't. That's one of my that I've never seen. Never taken. No,
what?
I know,
dude.
Shocking.
It is the best Christmas movie. Okay, it's old once again, but it's just so well done. It is one of the few old movies. You know how you watch an old movie, even stuff like Star Wars sometimes, where it'll be like it's a tad dated, but it was legendary for its time. This movie is not like that, and that's why I think it's the number one Christmas movie of all time, because it tells such a compelling story, and it's so like it's very dark for a Christmas movie. I don't want to go into spoilers because you've never seen it, but it goes places that most Christmas movies won't go, but it has the confidence to do that. And then, you know, it by going low, it really uplifts you when it goes high. It's classic, and it's like, dude, I can't even describe it. It's one of the few movies that stands the test of time. Like, people like it for different reasons, but it's like even some older movies, even older Christmas movies, even like Christmas in Connecticut, it's like, okay, they're a little dated. This movie is so well done, so well acted, so well written, that I think watching it even with a modern day mind, it holds up. And it's just incredibly well done.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it, and definitely check it out after this episode.
Yeah, that movie is one of the few movies that has come close and may or may not have made me cry. It's just such a good movie. It doesn't get better than that, dude. It really doesn't. So yeah, that's it. That's our top 10 Christmas movies, or 5 Christmas movies of all time. 10 in total, I guess. Is there anything that you like completely disagree with? Like, was there any choices where you're like, oh?
Not really. They're all good. And you see Fat Man. And I've never seen.
I feel like that's the underdog. Like, everybody's gonna be like, "What the hell? Fat Man is your number 4 Christmas movie ever?" But it is. It's great.
But to be fair, it's new, so not many people have seen it yet. So it hasn't made its way to
And I mean, I know it's because it's like
yet.
fresh in my head, dude. I tried. There's a few other classics that I tried watching that I just could not stand. I tried watching the Santa Claus movie. I Am Santa Claus.
You mean Tim Allen's or a different one?
Yeah, Tim Allen's. That movie was like number 6. That movie is hysterical. At first, I didn't like it because I didn't really like the North Pole. That was kind of annoying. But like, dude, Tim Allen is hysterical in that movie. He is a comedic genius.
Yeah.
He's like so perfectly just grumpy. He's just great in that movie. I love that movie. I tried watching White Christmas, which is supposed to be like a classic with like Bing Crosby or something. Yeah, it's terrible. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. It's like the worst thing I've ever seen. I know it's a classic. I was like, I can't stand this. Talk about dated. It's the polar opposite of It's a Wonderful Life. It's completely dated.
Yeah, it's one I haven't checked out as of yet.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Nothing really else to talk about. You know, Mandalorian made everybody's 2020, I think.
Yeah.
It was a strong ending. I'm not gonna lie. I was really surprised. I really enjoyed it. Those are our top 5 Christmas movies of all time. And that's it. You know, we're gonna watch Wonder Woman next week. We'll talk about that. Beyond that, that's pretty much it. Let us know what you guys think. You know, if you guys want us to change things up, talk about different things, you have things you want us to watch or talk about, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, the whole thing. Thank you to all the new people for coming. It's awesome that we have new people joining the White Noise podcast family. And we'll see you guys next video.